Laura for coming today. We're collaborating together on this workshop because we're both coaches, and it's just more fun to do things together, right? Mm-hmm. So, and she is in the Tampa, Carrollwood area, so she's got her network of people there, and I've got my peeps here. Right? Yes. Thank you, Eric. We've got to get a picture and a video of what you just said. That feeds my soul, but it also helps my business. I'm a leadership coach, trainer, and speaker, and I love what I do. But you today have a treat because you're going to hear the story behind this workshop. Get up, dress up, step up, because there's a story behind it, and it's my story, and Laura's going to share it with me. But I'm doing something different today. You know I usually do. I usually have the tables all mixed up. I have a game, but today I'm being normal. Because I've heard so many of your stories, and I thought it's time for me to let you hear my story. And so my story started back when my father came to the United States as an immigrant from Sweden. He was 19 years old. He built the American dream in a small town in Wyoming. They had status. There were 5 of us kids in the family. They were members of all the clubs in the church and everything, and they had status. They were very successful in their business. They had the American dream for an immigrant to come to America. And so, but all of a sudden one day, something happened. My little brother and I, we were 6 and 8 at the time. The older 3 kids were in college and high school, so there's a big span between all of us. And we were getting ready for school that morning, and the phone rang. And now I'm only 8, but I remember this day vividly. Because what I'm talking about today is defining moments of our lives. A defining moment is a moment in your life where there was a challenge or a crisis that forever changed your world. Right? Right. Anybody had any of those? Yeah, I think so. And I remember this day because the phone rang. My mother answers the phone. And she listens. And then she screams, "No! No! No!" My brother, that was in college, ready to graduate from engineering school, engaged, was in a fatal car accident. And he died a few days later. And I've never lost a child myself, but I walked through all of those years with my parents as they grieved over the years. So that was the first thing that happened. 6 months later, their business partner who lived next door to us, a father of 5, age 50, died of a heart attack. 6 months later. 1 year later, the other business partner took advantage of their grief and embezzled money and ruined the business. So here they are, they've got kids in college, little toddler kids, and all of these crises happening. And I remember, my dad could have chosen bankruptcy, but he would not do that. So after a year or 2, they chose to leave that community because of all the memories and everything. They moved to another town and started all over, a different business, totally different business. They started over from nothing with debts to pay back. I mean, what I learned from all of this, that was their defining moment in their life, even though I shared in it, is their perseverance. Because starting over wasn't easy, and that's then when I was in my teen years. I saw the struggle in their marriage, where there were days I didn't know if they were going to make it. And, but it showed, it was such a model for me of perseverance in people's lives, and that's helped me in my life. But besides that, there's always a silver lining to every storm. When we moved to that new community, we looked for a new church. My mother looked and looked and looked because we wanted a real faith, not a social faith. There's a social faith where you join the church and to be with the right people. She wanted a real faith because she knew that's what she needed to survive. So finally we walked into this church one day, and they sent me to the Sunday school class, and that teacher there became a lifelong friend and mentor to me, and she now is 95 years old. My mother-in-law, who lives right up here in Brookdale, assisted living. That's my mother-in-law. She was my first teacher.
Wow.
And then, of course, I met her son. We've been married 40 plus years. I won't go into details of that. 40 plus years. So, God uses those defining moments to change our lives in so many different ways. So that was a silver lining to that. And so we've had a great marriage together, career together. So we went to Bible school. We felt called to the ministry, both of us, and began pastoring churches, different churches. And so that was kind of my parents' defining moment, that big crisis thing there. But then, of course, as my dad used to say, he'd say, "Honey, I want you to learn from my mistakes. I don't want you to learn mistakes." Well, that's a nice thought, but you have to learn from our own. So I wish it were true. I wish I could learn from his. So anyway, we were pastoring. We were planting a church. Pastor West, you know what that's like. My husband was bivocational because he couldn't pay us. So think of the stress factors here in our life. We've been married about 10 years, 12 years maybe. We are planting a church, which is in a new community. That's a difficult thing to do. We had financial difficulties and then my husband had to work full-time at another position. He was a home builder sometimes, and then he went into being security because he was a police chaplain also. So think of the stress factors, okay? Job, church, children. We had 3 small children, 3 little boys. So I was home most of the time taking care of them, and he's gone all the time. Uh-oh, marriage stressor. Oh, that was a 5th one. I didn't put that one on. It's mounting, people. Well, and the reason I felt like to tell you this story, because we both went into severe depression through that time. And of course, being pastors, we didn't want to admit it, because we help other people get through their problems. So we should already know how. But we're humans also. And so, with the recent suicides of Anthony Bourdain and Kate Spade, and a friend of mine yesterday told of a high-profile pastor who took his own life. And that's not the first one I've heard about. Depression is a big deal, and it's around us. It's probably in this room somewhere, varying degrees. But my husband and I both went through times of severe depression. And of course, we had our wake-up calls, and his was one morning, he had worked all night doing security at a big homeowner's place for millionaires in south of Denver. And he came home, he was tired, he was sitting on the edge of his bed, taking off his uniform, and pulling his gun out to unload it. And he sat there, and he thought, in 1 second, this could be over. And right then, our little 4-year-old son was riding his big wheel. I don't know if any of you remember big wheels and all the noise they made. He was riding down the hillside on the sidewalk, and he liked to do this turn and come in the driveway, and he just started giggling and laughing. And that broke that thought out of my husband's mind. I feel like God was right there at that moment, because our little son, he just knew, I can't do that to my family. But it was a wake-up call for us to be counseling. And myself, having 3 little kids, I'd had 4 pregnancies and 3 children. So you know where my hormones were, wacko everywhere, plus all of these stress factors. And all I wanted to do was sleep. Just give me, I'd go to bed tired, and then my mind, and I just wanted to sleep. And so I had some medication to help me, but I thought if I take a little bit more, I'll really be able to sleep. Well, maybe if I took a little bit more, I could sleep better. And I did that, and then when I realized what I'd done, I did call 911. And my husband I was in bed, my husband had just gotten home from work as a chaplain volunteer. Another police officer comes to the door answering the call that they'd just gotten for 911, and my husband opens the door. "Hi, what you doing?" "I'm here because of your wife." So that took us on the road to getting help. And I wish, and we would not even be here, our marriage would not be here today if we did not have that help. Counseling, it's hard to go to counseling. I don't know about you, because you know what? They make you look inside at you. You can't just keep blaming other people. So we went through counseling, medication, just learning how to set boundaries. Because in every life, not just in pastoring, we have to learn how to set boundaries. And so it was a process. In all of the years, in my 30s, when somebody asks me about my 30s, I say it was depression and getting over depression, you know? But it was the best thing in the world for me because I learned how to set boundaries. I learned that I needed physically exercise to take care of my body. I had to eat right. You know, we take those things for granted. I had to get exercise. I had to have structure in my day. And those are things that help us throughout our whole life. And so through our self-care, we learned how to get through this time. And so I wanted to share that part of your story, that we be aware of the people around us. You know, we don't come and just share, you know, if I'm having a bad day and you ask me how I am, I'm probably not going to tell you. Because, you know, I say that for a couple of friends I have, special friends that will help me through those. But there are people around us. But then the next phase of my life came, and so we're still talking about get up, dress up, and step up. So when I talk about get up here, that's not just getting up out of bed in the morning. It's getting up for life. I had to learn how to control my emotions so that I could get up for life. Then the dress up is, I had to learn that, you know, we do feel the way we dress. But there's also dressing yourself up inside, of building your own confidence, and so that other people can see the story, your life story, because you all have a story, and it's a great story. And then the step up came about 10 years ago. I was getting my master's degree, and so I got a coach. I'd never heard of a coach before. A coach. And we did it by video. He was a friend that was in one of my master's classes. He was ahead of me getting his doctorate. And so we were talking one day because I'd been on the national board of a women's organization as one of the team players, you know, one of the members. Well, then I was asked to be the director of that organization. So I said yes. But I was talking to my coach about the difficulty of transitioning from a team member to the team leader. And I was whining a little bit about to him, I really liked being a team member, just budge. And he looked me in the eye, and it was on video, but I could tell. If he could have, got me by the neck. He says, Chris, you're not a team member, you're the leader. Step up. They're waiting for you. They're waiting for you to lead. Step up, girl. And so that's where this step up comes, because I'm challenging you, wherever you're at in your life right now, to step up to the next challenge. Because I know, we drag our feet. And we whine like I whined to him, but I liked being back there because it was comfortable. And I didn't have to stretch like the director did. I didn't have to make a plan for where we were going. She just told me where we were going. I said, let's go. No, but it was my turn to step up. And so that's my challenge to you, is to step up to the next part of your life. And to be aware of the defining moments in your life and what they have taught you. So I'm going to challenge you as women, the women in the group, to sign up. And everyone here, I'm challenging you to step up to the next level of your life. The other thing he explained to me about stepping up is, how we can move in increments, baby steps. I'm going to do a baby step here, and I got a baby step here, which is good. He says, I want you to move to a new realm of leadership. A new realm where you have never been before. Now that's a giant step. That's thinking big. And so I had to do that. And then I decided I loved coaching, so and now I got into John Maxwell, and I did step up. I'm proud of myself. I did step up. But we come through disappointments. So I'm going to ask you, how much time do I have left?
7, 8 minutes.
Really?
Well, I always stop at 45. So
Okay.
Go ahead, keep talking.
Awesome.
You've got me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, here.
Yeah.
I was rushing
Yeah.
because I
Don't
thought I
rush.
was running out of time. So, I'm not going to ask you necessarily what your defining moments are, because we may not have time for that. You can allude to them, but what maybe were some defining moments in your life that just changed you forever and changed a direction? Real quick, one or two.
I would say when I was a junior in college, I come from a really religious background, preacher's kid, and I was a junior in college, and I became pregnant. And I didn't know what I was gonna do, and I decided to have my daughter Taylor, and boy, she made me step up. That was a defining moment for me, to be responsible and be a mother. It was finish college, go to school full time, work full time.
And look at you now, Georgie. Somebody else, how did you step up? Melissa, then Glenn.
Okay, well, back in 2004, I don't remember how long this is, it's been a long time ago. My oldest had just started kindergarten, and apparently I thought I was gonna have a whole lot of time on my hands, even though I had another kid. And, so I started a children's consignment shop, and this was my little baby. I started it from the get-go. It is Carousel Kids. It was out on 39 in Lithia Pinecrest. And I had it just started for about 9 months to a year. We were hitting our stride and everything. Joe comes home. He'd been working for Goodyear for 12 years. He's like, guess what? We're gonna buy a shop. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? No, you're the reliable one with the paycheck. That's why I can do this, and it's fun, and it's entertaining, and I like, and he's like, no, we're gonna go buy a shop, and I'm gonna quit my job, and we're gonna do this now. So that was a little bit of a defining moment and a trial for our marriage, a trial for our children, and it was definitely a change, but a good one overall, but it was not the direction I saw things going in, and
Kind of
14
jerked you
years
forward.
It did, and 14 years later, I'm glad we did it. I was able to sell my business. It's still going on. If anybody wants a consignment shop, Carousel's right there at Cash and Carry.
It's still going on?
Yeah, Carousel Kids at Winn-Dixie at Fish Hawk, right there. That was my baby.
Oh, and
Yeah.
look at you.
Yeah.
Proud of you.
Thank you.
Glenn and then Bonnie.
Sounds like a referral for me.
Tell her.
My most recent moment, that defining moment, was when I found out I was going to become a father. And that was about almost 3 years ago. I was working for corporate America, a huge bank, great benefits, pay was acceptable, but there was always something inside me that didn't feel right, and it ultimately led to depression and anxiety. And in the midst of all that, I find out I'm having a baby, our first child, and something's just clicked inside me, and I knew that I did have to step up. I had to lose that fear of being comfortable in my job and pursue something that I felt was going to lead to more success and give me the opportunity to provide for my family. Looking back now, I joke and I say, how come I didn't do that sooner?
Wow.
But I think it did take that defining moment of finding out that you're going to be a father. That
Sometimes we have to
pushed
be
me over
jerked
the
into
edge.
it or thrown off the cliff.
Yeah, that's true.
Thank you, Glenn. Bonnie? Last one, Bonnie.
Okay, we've had quite a few big ones, but one of the first ones that happened to us is we had, as my husband was climbing the corporate ladder, we had moved to Pittsburgh. We'd been there all of 5 months. We had a brand new baby. He was 9 days old, and our cat had died in that time, so there was another momentous thing. And then I remember feeding the baby and getting a phone call from Ed and him telling me that the higher up had come in and had let him go, and he was driving him home in the company car.
Oh, my goodness.
And I'm like, what? as it turns out, this guy had embezzled from the company, he was hiding things, and anyway, he found a way to get rid of my husband. So there we were, moving to a new area, only being there 5 months, brand new baby, like I said, and what are we going to do? Well, you know what? You don't feel sorry for yourself. I had a brand new baby, I had to be strong, I had to be a mom. You know, we looked at where we were and we weren't around family, and so it was really a blessing in disguise because it forced us to move to Florida where our families were coming, either timeshare or part-time or whatever, and that's what brought us to Florida. We moved ourselves down here, and, you know, we actually, he went to work for a large pest control company, which has given him the knowledge that he knows in order for us to have our company to this day. So things really happen when they're supposed to. God was with
We
us.
can't really
Yeah.
see it till afterwards.
Right.
can we?
True.
So I just wanted to, I wanted to do something different today because, I would like to do more speaking, and you don't actually hear me do a speaking, cause we're usually doing a game and an interactive thing. So I would appreciate references or referrals from you, whether to Kiwanis, Rotary, schools, whatever, what are other places? Churches, I do women's retreats also. And also if you are interested in coaching to take you to the next level, I would love to help you step up. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank
Question.
you.
Do you provide coaching to out of state?
Oh, yeah, I do video, yeah.
Yeah, any other questions? Eric?
But not a question, but quick, very quick testimonial. I know many of you have taken a class with Chris before in this group, and if you haven't really realized it yet, you kind of had a very brief one-on-one with her as to what the class is kind of like. And you have all have had training in your reflective or your respective career paths on how to communicate or how to open up. And I'm quite sure many of you would not have opened up the way you did without first Chris stating what she stated to kind of create that engagement with you. And I strongly recommend for those of you who might even be at the height at your career to definitely take a class or do a group class with your other associates or other employees, because the class is really reflective about a mirror image of you and what you might not be sharing or not willing to share or be too scared to share. And it really makes a huge difference when you communicate with other people, especially when you want people to see the real you and find out what they can learn from you, refer back to each other. So I strongly recommend for those of you who have not taken a class, take a class with Chris in your future.
I think I better set another one up for fall, right?
That's right.
And remember how shy you used to be?
I had, yeah, I was busy.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Chris?
Chris. Oh, go
I
ahead, go
have
ahead.
a question. What prompted you to decide to go for a master's?
My coach, not that coach, but another advisor that was working with us in our region, as my husband's the regional director of churches, he offered this master's, and he said, Chris, if you're gonna take this new position as this director, you need your master's. And I respected him so much, and, oh, the good part is, I had been praying for years of going back to school, and I pushed on every door I could, and I could not make it happen. And when he said that, he said, just pray about it, Chris. I said, I am in, I've been prayed long enough. And it's the moment, God sets a moment before you, and it's like, it was above and beyond anything I could imagine. Really, really was. Thank you.